We are going to cover the program year 2024 Consolidated Annual Performance and Evaluation Report. I wanted to start by doing introductions so we know who is in attendance. I'm Nicole Growe. I am the CDBG administrator. And whoever wants to go next, please feel free. Anybody?
I'm Ralph Chamberlain.
Okay. All right.
Ellen Scherg, Regional Planning at Erie County Land Bank.
Sir?
Jeff Bergquist.
Okay.
Berkshire Hathaway Professional Real Estate Broker.
Thank you.
And sit on Fair Housing Board.
Which we haven't met in a long time, right? Not that I remember. All right, just a quick summary of what we're talking about. The CAPER, and that covers the program year of 2024, which went from July of 2024 to June of this year. And it shows what achievements were done in the consolidated plan also. So that is a 5-year plan that was updated last year, and that goes from 2024 to 2028. So for last program year in 24, we were allocated $715,533. And of those funds, we have spent $553,049. So we spent about 77%. Actually, a little more than that. This presentation was made a couple weeks ago. And we did several activities, including public facility improvements, code enforcement, clearance and demolition, youth and public service activities. We just started, Jason. It's okay. Yeah, we just did introductions. I'm going to write you down. I'm doing minutes too, so. Oh my goodness, that is hard to see. I hope you guys can see it on your little packets. So there is a chart that kind of covers all the major activities and the goals, and it says what the amount was allocated per year and how much has been used. So the first one is administration and planning, and we had about $118,000 for that. We spent at the time $49,000. That actually we've spent a lot more than that in the last few weeks. It just hasn't been updated. And that covers like planning studies, my salary, and other people's salaries that help administer the grant. Under housing, the 2024-2028 consolidated goals are listed on the left, and then as we go, it's what we spent in 2024 with the percentages. And then some of these also have performance measures or units of measure that I'll go through. So for housing, we had about 9,500 for fair housing. And the fair housing consultant took about 99 calls. So that was, we estimated 150. So these are just estimate numbers. This is what, we take a guess. So there was 66% of that was spent. The next one was acquisition, clearance, and demolition. And we actually have been using carryover funds for those. So I didn't put any measures on here because we didn't have anything for program year 24. So during last year, we did demolish 4 buildings, and we'll go over these in more detail in a minute. There was $150,000 for rehabilitation, and we spent about 87% of that, and that was for programs for the lead-based paint removal or the healthy homes, and we did 11 homes so far. We'll probably end up doing 13. We had estimated 9. Then under neighborhood stabilization, there was about $116,000 that we spent on various park improvements. And the park improvements this year were at AMVETS, Huron Park, and Schaefer Park. And I'll go into that in a minute. So we estimated just 1 improvement. We actually were able to do 3. So that was good. For community development, we did transit this year. We had about $41,000, and we spent about $80,000 of that, or 80% of that, excuse me. And they had 3 transit stops put in at different locations, and then a lot of trash containers, and I'll go over that some more too. So we got a lot of those done. We got 8 locations covered at that. And then public facilities was about $356,000, and that included street repaving, and that was different segments of Pierce Street this year. So they actually went under budget, which is good, so that'll carry on. They spent about 97% of what they estimated. As far as code enforcement, there was $107,000 spent, and we did spend all the funds for that. We estimated 150 inspections, and we actually did almost 700. So we did quite a bit more. And then the last category is special needs assistance. There was about $51,000 for youth services, so that helped pay for recreation staff salary. And the participant number was 952 when we estimated 100. And then the last one is special needs, so that is like our subrecipients. And this last year we did grants with OGO, the Erie County Senior Center, and Father's Heart Church. There was $62,000 set aside for that, and we spent about $87,000. And we have served about 427 people when we were estimating 100. I know that's a lot of information, so if you have questions, just stop, and I'll answer them as we go. These, again, are the goals from the 2024-2028 consolidated plan, so the action is going to describe that. And that first one is for housing, and it's to provide affordable housing and remove barriers for fair housing. And I have a picture of 937 Washington. There was a really big building there. We took that one down. There's still a little bit of structural work we're working on, but we're getting there. So I mentioned earlier, fair housing consultant. This year he fielded 99 calls regarding fair housing, and he also helps make the materials for fair housing and offers educational opportunities to our residents. So we spent $9,500 on that. For the demolitions this year, as I said, we did 937 Washington. We also did 2224 Stevers Way, 717 Warren, and 530 Lockwood. That was a garage, and we used all carryover funds, so there were no funds from 24 used. In total, that cost $254,000. Yeah.
Do we recoup any of this money from the previous owner?
So yes, the amount of the demolition is assessed onto the taxes.
Good.
So yeah, I don't know if the full amount's been assessed yet, but it will be.
Because I know who owned that building.
Yes. Yep, so once we get that final bill from the structural engineering, then we will send it to the Erie County auditors and they'll assess it on the taxes. All right, and then for the rehabilitation program, we work with the Erie County Health Department, and for that, we have done 11 houses so far. Like I said, there'll probably be 13 because they have a little bit of money left. I just got one this morning. In total, it was $150,000 earmarked for that, and all that's going to be spent. Moving into neighborhood stabilization. The action for that is to enhance the quality of life for people living in low and moderate income neighborhoods through public investment in facilities, improvements, and services, as well as the elimination of blight. So on the top picture, there's a picture of some of these trash cans that we put in under community development funds that I was talking about earlier. This one's at Perkins and US 250. As we go farther down, you'll see the other locations where they installed the trash cans. There were 3 shelters that were bought. The pads have been poured, but the shelters have not been put up yet, but they will be very soon, hopefully. We're waiting on our maintenance crew to be able to do that. And the location for those structures was Remington Ave, Hayes, and Warren Street. And then underneath there is a picture of Schaefer Park. That's one of the parks we did this year. The prior playground equipment was damaged, so this was a replacement. This is the new equipment that was put in. So that covers most of things under the community development activities right here.
Was the playground equipment also sit on the ADA board? Was the playground equipment ADA implied?
I'm assuming it would have to be, yeah. I mean, it goes through the federal contracting, so.
I would hope so, but they have done parts where they said, "Oops, missed that."
Yes, I'm pretty sure. And Jason, do you have anything to add on that?
Yeah, all the playgrounds have certain aspects that are ADA, but I don't, as far as this one having all the ramps and everything else, I don't think this one had the same as like when we were Parker Shoreline over we're looking at that for Farwell. So it depends on the ages too that they have for it. So that's the picture of it right there. So that's, I know that we try to make it accessible as far as we have some concrete that we want to redo in that park too, because we have these drinking fountains that are kind of just in grassy areas, and we're trying to connect those, but the concrete to that also needs to be updated in Shaver Park.
Okay.
I do see a lot of people at the splash all summer, because I go by it quite a bit.
Did you see
Current
the,
Park was a huge ADA with the,
Yep.
the surfacing that we put in there for that one as well.
I was going to cover that, we also spent money at AMVETS. We did a shelter and like some benches and some shade structures over there. And then at Huron Park, we helped with the splash pad repairs. So we did a lot this year. As far as public facilities with engineering, a lot of Pierce Street was fixed. There were 5 different segments. The segments, I count like a block as a segment. And they had about $345,000 they spent on that. They were a little under budget, so that funding will roll over to the next year. The next category is special needs assistance, and the action for that is to promote access to public services for special needs populations that are assumed to be low and moderate income. So that addresses youth and children, seniors, elderly, frail, veterans, people with mental, physical, or developmental disabilities, alcohol and drug addiction, AIDS, or other special needs. So under that category, we had our sub-recipients, like I was talking about earlier. Up top is a picture of OGO and their mobile food vehicle. And we'll skip down to the middle real quick since I'm talking about public grant, or I'm sorry, subrecipient grants. So there were 427 people that were assisted through the various subrecipient grants. And there was the Erie County Senior Center Meals on Wheels program. There was OGO's mobile food pantry. And then there was Father's Heart Church. And they kind of gave out toiletries to the low-income housing downtown. We spent around $62,000 on that. And the New Jerusalem Church actually had a grant in program year 23, and they didn't spend all the money. So it rolled over into this year, and then they were able to open up their heating and cooling shelter to service a few more people. So that's good. And then as far as code enforcement, there were 699 code violations that were recorded for the time period that we were reimbursing them. The amount that we reimburse only goes so far, and then we stop totally. So this was, I think about 6 months we covered this much. So in total, during the time that we were reimbursing code enforcement salaries, there were 497 enforcements, and about 71% of those resulted in compliance. Yeah.
Special needs for public services, it says 37% is utilized, so 13%, is that rolling over, or is that going to be made available?
No, unfortunately, that's already, it's just people who haven't submitted all their receipts. So yeah, it's already spoken for, unfortunately. And then the last slide is eligible census block groups and target areas. So I don't know if we've had a meeting since the block groups have changed. We did get our maps updated not too long ago. So there's a few more areas that we can cover now that we couldn't cover before. So the areas in green are the ones we can do, and the one in gray are the non-eligible. And in your packet, there's a double picture. I don't know why. It's the same thing. As you can see on the PowerPoint, it only shows it once, so I'm not sure why it did that. But we always cover this, and that's just showing, of the multiple national objectives that projects can fall under. The LMA is the low moderate income is the main one that we use to do projects. And this was all calculated by HUD, which used census data. And there were 36 projects in total from this last program year that used that national objective of LMA. And then just the future on this, right now there's a public comment period that is open, and that opened a couple weeks ago on August 21st, and it goes until the end of this week on September 5th. The actual CAPER document, right here, it's pretty thick, but if you want to read it, it's online, or you can use my copy, I don't care. That is on our website at www.cityofsandusky.com, and it's under Community Development Block Grant Documents. There is also a copy at the Sandusky Library, and then a public hearing will be held on this next week on September 8th, and it will be here in this chamber at 5 o'clock. So if anyone has any comments or questions that you want to give me on this, please make sure you get them to me by the 5th. Does anyone have anything they want to add or share, or ask? No? Okay, then we're adjourned. Thank you.